There you go.
Great, thank you. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the PSWS Operations Telecon for Thursday, May 1st. I think Rachel was talking about exam week at CWRU. I'm not sure if she's taking them or proctoring them or both, but she couldn't be here, so I figure you're stuck with me for what it's worth.
Worth a lot.
I hope. I hope. So yeah, I wanted to talk a lot about grape stuff today. Is there anything anybody else wants me to make a note to stick on the agenda so we don't forget later? Nope. Okay. All right. I guess we'll start with the good news. The Grape 2 drive swap is moving along pretty well. Most of you probably saw the note that I posted to the Google group. Bill, do you guys or John or anybody have anything to add on that?
Not really. I'm really excited that they're doing it. We had one drive failure, which I've sent back for a replacement, but out of 32 drives shipped, that isn't too bad. 3% failure rate. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so we're down to we've got two folks who are waiting to respond yet.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and that's so I'll give them a week or so and maybe they're on vacation or who knows what. Uh,
When was the last time you pinged them?
uh Sunday, I think, or over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So that's cool. All right. Um, I think AB4EJ mentioned there was a slight hiccup in the DRF, or excuse me, the FL Digity or the DRF conversions last week, but I talked to Kung and I guess that's all been taken care of. So is that as you have a time permit, Bill, or is that something that's going to run automatically on the server in the future as these FL Digi things get uploaded?
That's to be determined. Right now, I'm struggling with some bigger issues. They want to shut down the server we've been running on, and I'm trying to get them to agree that we can't do that until we've ever got everybody converted over to the new server, but the new server isn't ready yet. So
Oh, geez.
I'm feeling very stressed here.
Hmm.
So I'm going to appeal to the director for to escalate when the server shutdown occurs, but it's scheduled for June 17th as of right now. Now, what I figured out what we can do is, even if I won't have all of the website and everything running on the new server by that time, but what I can do is I can set it up so that people can upload to it. So I can reproduce all the accounts and the tokens and everything on that server. And you just got to once I get the server up and running, then we go around and check everybody who's uploading and change the URL to where they're uploading to. And then that should switch over. And in the meantime, I can build out the website on the new server while people continue to upload. And then I can catch it back up. That's not hard to do. As far as, syncing the database with what the data is that we have. It's going to be more of a problem, I would say, for Rob than anybody else, because of the number of systems being administered. He and Michael Howen will have their work cut out for them once I get this new server to where it can accept uploads.
That's Whisper Damon Grapes you're thinking of?
All systems that are uploading. So Grape 1 Legacy,
Sending beacon.
Grape 1 DRF, magnetometers, whoever's RX888s, anybody who is doing uploading, they'll have to change their config file to upload. And I'm trying to simplify the network address. It might be something like psws.ua.edu. Make it a little bit simpler. But Rob, I see you just put your headset on. I don't know if you caught that. You got a copy on me?
You just volunteer for everything, Rob.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but,
Before he had his headset on, we volunteered you for everything.
yeah, we realized that there's a lot of systems that have to be changed over to the upload target. And they're telling me they want me to do that by June 17th, but the new server isn't ready yet. So this is really very annoying.
Wow.
What was the old Dilbert cartoon about Mordak, the preventer of IT services? So hopefully your persuasive efforts are successful.
Well, yeah, I mean, but even satellites go offline sometimes, so, what can you do? I'm gonna do what I can to prevent that from becoming an issue, but we can achieve at least partial success, I'm sure. So back to net.
Okay, yeah, that's we understand that that would be nerve-wracking to have to deal with that. So thank you for that. And I know you've got a lot of stuff going on. So the Grape One legacy systems, I mean, with all the servers changing and everything else, are we kind of holding off on that? Because you obviously got a lot going on.
Well, let's see. I mean, with some help from you and Bill Blackwell, I think we can start getting them switched over. I mean, we've got a procedure that we think works. Like Gary, didn't you get your system where your Grape One legacy system is uploading to the central
Right, yes.
US server?
Yeah, both Bill Blackwell and I should be uploading to your server.
Right. So we have a working procedure on that. We just need to start rolling it out to other people.
Right.
And the only thing that's changed is now, remember, we've got the ability to download the config file. So the instructions may have to change slightly so people can download their own config file, modify the frequency, and then put it on their Grape, I guess.
Yeah, once I get the new server and the new network name assigned, I'll change the software so it produces a config file that has the right URL in it. The new URL.
Bill, as soon as we can solve where my stations are going to be kept on the server, I'm ready to do that changeover and test it again.
All right. I'll make a note of that. I'll get with you separately and we'll.
Yeah, we need to just figure that where those stations are and the tokens, and then we'll be good.
Okay.
So one other thing, Bill, and if you want to say you don't want to think about it or worry about it for X number of months, that's fine. Is there at some point in the future a need or a desire to clean up some of the accounts? For instance, I created an account probably 3 years ago and never used it, and my Grape is going up under a different station, I suppose. Is there any value to removing some of those old accounts that don't have any data and probably never will?
Well, there's two different kinds of accounts. There are the accounts on the website, which really don't have any cost or risk associated with them. And then there are the station accounts, which authorize uploading. I think probably the only ones that are a bit of I don't know, what would you say, something of it's a non-zero security risk. So I mean, I can certainly identify those stations that people have set up that don't have any data in them. And of course, if anybody ever gets done with their account on the web server, I can certainly delete those if somebody lets me know that a PSWS account is no longer needed, because it's kind of confusing. There's the account on the website that you use to log into the website, but then when you have a station, you have an actual Unix account, which is used for uploading. So
One thing you should be aware of, Bill, is the way the scripts are written for the uploads for the Grape 1 and Grape 2. If the upload fails, the files stay in the transfer directory until the next day, and it tries to do the previous days and the next days. They just keep accumulating until there's a successful transfer, and that's the only time they get purged from the transfer directory. So if there's a hiccup, you shouldn't lose any of the grape data being transferred.
That's an excellent feature.
Because we
So,
assumed that the internet wasn't always going to be available, or there could be hiccups, so we accommodated that.
right. Taking some notes here.
Yeah, I think for my own notes for the meeting today, I'll just say website accounts, station accounts in Unix, future cleanup, time frame TBD, and we'll worry about that in the future because there's just enough moving pieces right now. I think we don't need any more.
I wanted to ask one more question of Bill. Bill, if you have an instrument, can that instrument be moved between stations on the between the station accounts? If you set up an instrument under a different station account?
That should be possible.
I think that's all we have to do for me if that's the case.
Okay. Let me get with you separately and we'll work
Yep.
out what we're gonna do on that.
But I think that's sort of, I have instruments in 3 different accounts, and if we could get the 3 instruments under 1 account, that's all we have to do. So,
When I was
Yeah.
working every couple of years, marketing would go through our product line and they'd have a product rationalization and get rid of the stuff that wasn't selling and wasn't moving. I guess that's what I'll put in the notes that Dave is going to, and Bill will work on an instrument rationalization and get you guys cleaned up. All right. Anything else on the grapes? I mean, that's a lot going on there. Can't discount that. It's a lot happening. Okay.
I can't think of anything else that
Bill, your node 1033 photo that you sent out looks like the you're building the that as a new node, right? And it looks like the USB cable is not connected to the Pico. It needs to come out of the front of the unit where the power supply and the magnetometer connections are. The third connection is the Pico, and it's a micro USB as opposed to a USB-C connector. And it just goes around it should go around like through a 6-inch jumper USB cable to the lower black input on the Pi.
Mhm.
Where you've got the 4 USB inputs. It's just from the picture, it looks like it wasn't connected.
I'm calling it. It won't let me do it. I was gonna take, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what cable you're talking about. I'm sitting here looking, looking at the rate 2 with all the antenna connections in the front, the 4 gold plated
Yeah.
antenna
look
connections.
on you. That's the front side. Look at the back side of the unit. And if you look at it, there will be a little micro USB cable coming out on the I want to say it's on the right side, if I remember.
Yeah.
That wraps around, plugs into the lower left USB port of the Raspberry Pi.
Okay, I see what you're talking about. It's what you say, it's a USB-C?
Yeah, well,
No,
it's a micro USB in the Pico, but it comes out and plugs into a standard USB-A on the Raspberry Pi. It's a cable that's about 6 inches long. It's black. That's the communication interface between the Pico and the Raspberry Pi, or one of them, I should say.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
all the data
okay.
stream.
all
That's
right,
what-
I see what you're talking about. That should fix it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you're talking about.
Yeah, if that's not there, it's going to get upset.
Yeah, the
That's
symptoms
right.
you're showing are because of that.
Right, okay, yeah, I'll work that. I'll work that next. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for background, in addition to all the other stuff AB4EJ has going on, he's putting up a grape to it is his QTH. We had one of the hosts returned them, and this gives Bill an opportunity to receive 3 frequencies in Alabama. So he's taking that on too. So very
Yeah,
good.
well, that's not that big a deal. The thing is, I was running RX 888 here, but I found out I needed the B link from the RX 888 to do the imports of the hard drives. So that's been pressed into service for that because it's got to be a Linux-based system, which is a hard commodity to find at UA. So anyway, I took that down temporarily until I can get all that data imported. So I hadn't been running any data collection, but this node 33 will give me the chance to do some data collection.
Yeah, the Note 33 setup, if you plug it in and turn it on, let the GPS stabilize probably for half an hour to get a good fix. When you run the PSWS setup, it will automatically populate your new position. So you'll want to accept the new position. And it'll also ask you about all the other information. You don't really want to go and just blanket delete all the data in the sinfo file because there's a serial number file that's associated with the board set.
Right. I went through and did the PSWS setup. And
Okay, in that case, you should be good.
It went fine. Yeah. No, the only thing is this connection to the Pico board. That's the only thing I've been missing.
Yeah, that will screw things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to net.
Great. Hey, John, you said something interesting. You said there's kind of a serial number tag buried into the in the Linux system for each board set.
Yep.
Oh, that's clever. Good.
Is a serial number for the digital board and a serial number for the RF deck.
Okay, good. Because yeah, Bill and I were debating just briefly about whether he should have a new node number or the old one, and I thought we should have traceability, and it sounds like you do. So okay.
Yep. I think going to the new node number makes more sense because if you have historical data at the old node number, you don't want to delete it or write over it or confuse it. Although each header file will have the current data's information. In fact, in the header file, there is the serial number of the 2 boards listed for every header file. So it's there. You have to look for it.
Yeah, and that's in every data file too.
Yep.
So
Nice. Okay. Very
You
good.
there are even cal constants for the A to D in every header file. So
Yeah.
it's a standalone data set that can exist by itself without having to have the Grape 2 to run it.
Very nice. Okay. Good. All right. Anything else on the grapes?
I think that's fermented long enough.
Yeah, very good. I wonder if we could switch gears to maybe it's kind of a little bit of an unpleasant subject, but it's also reality. I don't know, Nathaniel or Rob, do you guys want to make any comments? I wasn't on the Tapper call on Monday evening. How's our near-term prospects of more Whisper Demon grapes looking, given all the geopolitical nonsense?
Well, I think so I had a situation with the tariffs on ordering more RX 888s. John is nodding his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an unpleasant situation. And I think what makes it perhaps the most challenging is you're not allowed to pay for tariffs with as direct costs on NSF grants. So that precludes, so even if I said something, okay, this is going to make this thing more expensive, maybe we just buy less of them, or, I am pretty good at, finding money, and I think balancing the budgets pretty well and finding ways to accommodate this stuff. It's not something where I can simply just say, oh, we're going to go pull another X number of dollars from this related grant or something like that. It's actually a situation where I simply can't buy it. The one with as a direct cost to the grant, one option I could do, there are a couple of options to possibly buy it. One is to go to the university and ask if they would take it out of indirect costs, which is a possibility if we had to. Another option is to find some reseller that basically just incorporates, I guess, the cost of the tariffs into the final cost of the product. I'm not sure if that's a possibility. But another thing we're looking at is possibly trying to lay out, the ARC 888 is relatively simple. So we're also trying to lay things out that way. I've asked, Dave Witten has a start on laying out his own RX 888. And so a very simple one. So I'm letting him, I've asked him if he could continue working on that. So he's kind of going ahead with that right now. And I think right now, I know David McGaw also volunteered to be a project manager for this. I think at the moment, what I really want to do is rather than go through a whole design cycle or things like that, I want to kind of take it a little bit less aggressive for a little bit. I want to continue to encourage Dave Witten to do what he's been doing. And I want to take a little bit more of a wait and see approach because I think the tariff situation is very volatile. And just because this is the situation today, it doesn't mean it's going to be the situation, a month from now or even tomorrow. So I think we have a little bit of time in the grant. I think we focus on resolving some of these server issues right now, make sure our grape twos are, chugging along. I'm actually working on getting mine back up online right now after we did a bunch of antenna work at my house last week. And I think we just try to stabilize the situation we have, continue to encourage Tapper to develop a new system and, watch what's happening and then go from there. We have a couple of install projects that we are planning on doing this summer, and that includes going to K3LR, which, Case Western people, I'd really like to invite you to come join us for the K3LR installation. And let me pick up that installation is going to be, I think that it's the beginning of August, and I'm doing funny things with my keyboard here, so I can't, I think it's like August. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna bring up my calendar so I can tell you exactly.
Do we have a node set up for that yet, or a system, or am I providing that?
Well, that's something we have to, so no,
I-
we don't.
Okay,
So,
so I do
okay.
have two here that I can deploy.
Okay, that would be wonderful. So yes, so K3LR, our nominal installation date is August 4th through August 7th. That is when we are going to K3LR to do the installation. So yes, we should definitely put a Grape 2 out there. So John, if you would be so kind as to work up a Grape 2 node that can go out there, that would be much appreciated. And that will be very, very helpful. And I guess we need to keep working on the logistics for the K3LR trip. For now, just keep on your calendar, do things that you think you can do to prepare. I have not been able to think much beyond the end of the semester in Hamvention right now. So that's kind of where my
Welcome to my world.
right. Yeah, you're just like,
Yeah.
I would like to let me share a couple photos and some things from the trip last week when Rob Robinette and Elmer Musser came. Let me get those photos.
Nathaniel, before you hop into that,
Yeah.
I'd like to at least add a little bit about the RX 888 situation and what I would call maybe rejuvenating the Clementine project. There's of course nothing wrong with doing these things in parallel. We want to
Yes.
develop our hardware our own hardware ultimately anyway.
Mhm.
And so, I'm hoping it's only 2 weeks till Hamvention, and we had just talked about having discussions there about this project. There are various levels of this, from the 1 channel, 2 channel, 4 channel versions. And
Yes.
I think a significant development is that we just got notice that the development cards for the USB interfaces have
For the
suddenly become
FX10.
available.
Yes.
So I would just propose that we keep working on that. If you can get the RX 888s at a reasonable price, great. But I think there are a number of us who are interested in continuing with our own development.
Well, I completely agree that we should continue doing our own development. I think I definitely want to see a more advanced version of this. I think for the purposes of this particular NSF grant, I need to go with something that's as close to the RX 888 as possible,
Right.
because this grant specifically says that we are not doing development, we are just doing deployment. And we have a system that has been that we like, that is a good version, a good version of the system that works. So we need to get that out there. And then yes, I completely agree that in parallel, these other things should be, people who want to go work on developing these future systems, that will be good. But I'm planning on deploying the first reliable, simple system that I can get my hands on for this particular round.
One question I have while we're on this, if I might, is the question came up whether the tuner chip is used in what is the current use of the Whisper Demon and the Grape use. We're just digitizing straight.
That's right.
Rob, I think, can answer this.
I
Yes.
believe
We're
we
not
are.
using the tuner chip, correct, Rob?
No, no. I mean, Franco added support to communicate with the tuner chip, but we don't use it.
That's
And
what I
so
wanted
it
to
would
know.
actually be one more part that would be great to get out of the
Right.
signal processing chain.
Yeah, so what we basically want to do, just so to finish the thought, is take the HF 103 and finish it up the way that we use the RX 888, which
Yes.
really isn't a large development project, but we got to coordinate the
Right.
cats.
Well, I think so. I talked to Dave Whitten earlier this week. I think he actually he's working on coordinating that part. So Dave Whitten already has started putting things into KiCad. He's been thinking about this for a while. So I think he's kind of taking, I know we said that, I know you volunteered to be project manager for this on Monday night, David, but McGaw. But I think I really want to just let Dave Whitten kind of go work on things the way he wants to right now, because
Well, to be fair, he was feeling overwhelmed by that. That's why I
well,
offered to help him out with that.
that sounds good. I think perhaps we can take this, we can talk about this more offline.
Yeah,
But
well, this is a Monday night thing.
yeah, I think he's actually, I think he actually has a plan forward for doing the
Good.
yeah, the 103 right now. So let's just keep
Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Well,
So
I just wanted to make sure people knew that we were working on that.
we are, yes.
How many RX 888s are you looking to order?
So 25.
25, okay.
Yes. 25. So I also think I know there's a few that are out there that people have extras of, that we might be able to scrounge together. So that might be a possibility too. But yeah, 25.
I definitely have one extra.
Okay.
So We'll talk.
And, yeah,
Okay,
we
yes.
probably need some spares because I don't know if those are the most reliable pieces of
Yeah,
hardware in
there's
the
a
world
kit
anyhow, so.
that ships from somebody that's the extra heatsink stuff.
Yeah, from Tapper, right?
Yeah, Tapper's producing this now. And yeah, that kit includes the extra thermal pad that you need for the heat sink. It includes an interface board to go to the Leo Bodner. It includes all of that. So that does exist.
Plus
Um,
alterations if you needed to do the VLF stuff too.
What's that?
Transformer alteration that might need to be made.
Mhm.
Correct, Rob?
He's saying if you want to improve the low frequency performance of the RX-888, there's actually one very simple thing to do: take off the
Right.
bias T inductor, or we could even substitute it for that matter. But we don't use that bias.
Yeah, you don't want it. No.
So, perhaps another strategy for deploying 25 of these is to see who already has one of these things. And maybe, there's two ways we can go about doing it. We could see if they're either willing to donate it to the project, or if they are willing to sell it to the project, or if they are a suitable site for hosting one of these Daisy 2 sites that they're not already hosting. And then maybe they become one of the sites that we end up selecting to be a Daisy 2 site because they already have the RX 888 and we just send them everything else. So I think that kind of remains to be seen. I think one of the biggest things this might change is in the next 2 weeks is it might change our recruitment and deployment messaging at Hamvention, because I think it means we're probably not quite as ready to deploy 25 of these, you know, as we would like to. And maybe that's okay. We're in the first year of this grant. So given that in the grant we wrote that we would deploy these things year one. But with these grants, it's expected that if things change, which the situation clearly has changed, it might be prudent to, take an extra, year or deploy in years 2 and 3 to work on getting these things out. Because I do think that within the next year, we're going to, I don't know what will happen, but I don't think things will be the same as they are today. And we can hope that maybe it's a more favorable situation, either with the tariffs or with maybe where we are in terms of being able to produce um, our own receiver for this.
Now, is
I
the
think-
RX-888 a receive only?
Yes. So the RX-888 is a receive only device, and it is based on something called the HF 103, which is an open source design by an amateur named Oscar Stella, who I think is a silent key now. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes.
true.
And he has, so this is the BBRF 103, and so he has designs for it up on GitHub, which you can see in the link I just put in the chat. So there's an open source design that is mostly in PDFs. And as I said, Dave Witten has started laying this out in KiCad. I think he's talking to a number of people about, he's working on starting to put together trying to lay this out a little bit more. He's talking to like Tom McDermott and Franco and those people on this. So I think that's where we are right now. So this is all very rapidly very rapidly happening. I don't want to make, a lot of people have started kind of working on things in the background very quickly just over the last few days. So I don't want to make a whole lot of decisions or plans just right now. I want them to, be able to pull them, have a little space to think about what they're doing and kind of present some options before we make any real decisions. So that is happening. So let me show you a couple of things from Rob and Elmer's trip last week. So let's see. So last week, Rob Robinette and Elmer came to Scranton, and they were accompanied. We had a bunch of students and Jonathan Rizzo, who are local to the area, to come up and help out and participate. And this is a picture we took. This is actually not exactly how it looks right now, but it's close. I'll tell you the one major difference. So Jonathan's VLF antenna has been out in my yard for about the past 3 years. And then we installed a DX Engineering mag loop and also it's very hard to see in this photo. There's a DX Engineering active vertical right there. And then over here is Elmer Musser's, I'm sorry, not Elmer Musser, Glenn Elmer's single antenna system, which has a high impedance amplifier board up here, and it has it's a dipole, an actual dipole, vertical dipole here, also for receive. The DX Engineering antennas are both connected to my house, which is about 300 feet that way off to the left of the screen, via flooded RG6 that runs in the conduit underground alongside Cat 6E that carries Jonathan's VLF signals and the ground magnetometer signals back to the house. We did find out that Jonathan's DC to DC converters in his scheme for isolation generates quite a bit of noise at HF. And so we can see, what we did for the moment is we moved this SAS antenna much closer to my house. So the SAS antenna is basically kind of 50 feet behind me right now and maybe about 200 feet away from here. So that changes things. So we do have, this is the current spectrum. So this is a live display of the RX 888 from 0 to 30 megahertz. There's no scale on here, but of the spectrum from the DX Engineering mag loop. And you can see that these spikes that happen periodically are the interference from the VLF system.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So
Ooh.
here
Daniel,
is,
what is the spacing on those?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Looks like
Here's
a lot of
the
megahertz.
Yeah,
here's the DX
probably
Engineering-
switching rate of the DC-DC.
Yep.
Here's the DX Engineering active vertical, and you can see the similar situation. And then here is the SAS antenna, which is about 200 feet away from the VLF receive antennas now. So as you can see, the SAS is getting a much cleaner signal now, primarily because it's been moved away from the VLF receiver.
Looks like you need to shut down the VLF until you get that fixed. It's really polluting the spectrum.
Right. So, well, I think, well, for now, what we're doing is we're running these 3 different antennas, and this is the one that's going to run into the SAS. We're going to keep running these for now. We do have, Jonathan is aware of the situation, and so is Elmer Musser, and they are discussing ways to mitigate the problem. And we're hoping, it hasn't been totally confirmed yet, but we're hoping that Elmer and Rob might be able to come back in June for another work week. All of these systems are, okay, so here is mostly what my station looks like right now. So we have the 3 RX 888s and the B links down here. And then this is the VLF receiver. And so that's the desk that is, I can turn off. Well, there's a desk that's sitting just to my left, right over there. I can have the virtual background on, but that's what's over there. And then this is my main computer system now. So we did all that work last week, and today I'm trying to get the grapes my grape 1 FL Digi, grape 2, and the grape 1 DRF back up and running, and hopefully the magnetometer again. My original plan was to choose one of these 3 antennas, new ones that we put up last week, to attach the grapes to one of those. But given what I've just shown you, I don't think that's necessarily the best course of action right now. I used to have the grapes attached to an off-center fed 80-meter off-center fed dipole. And actually I've got a map of all of this satellite imagery. So that was here. This is my planning diagram. Right, so here's my house. This is the received site. So this yellow star is now where we have the VLF receive antenna, the ground magnetometer, the DX Engineering vertical whip, and the mag loop. So that all goes over there. The SAS antenna is now located in this marsh right over here. And then I have my ZS6BKW that I use for regular ham radio use, that's going this way. And then I have this Buckmaster 80-meter off-center fed dipole going over here. And that's what I've had my grapes and all my receive systems attached to for the last few years. So when I bring the grapes back up, I'm just going to connect them back to this antenna for now, because that will make it most comparable to the data we've already had. And then I'll just say these things are still, more experimental. And then I will only migrate this stuff over when we're more comfortable with the situation over here. So I think that is the main summary of the trip. Oh, and I also have my Kiwi SDR that you can access. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the web right now, but I will get that fixed also. So this is showing the spectrum off of the off-center fed dipole that the grapes are going to be attached to. So that's where I am. I think there's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done. But I do think we are making progress, and we'll keep going from there. Back to Net.
That's quite a tour, the W2NAF estate. Got a lot going on there, a lot of RF.
Yes.
And thank you also for the update on the RX-888 situation. It's I'm sure everybody understands. It's I guess fluid is an understatement, but that's just the way it's got to be.
I'm actually in some ways, of course it's a challenge that the tariff situation with the RX 888s, but I am actually kind of excited about what might come of this, because it is nice that we have this open source HF 103 design, and it would be really nice if we can get one of those, Tapper to create one of those as a starting point, a minimalist starting point, and then it'd be really nice to have our own design, and then eventually, build up and, try reimagining the Tangerine or the Clementine based on what we learned from here. So as challenging as this is, I feel like we do have a little bit of time on our side, which is nice. We have not expended our resources yet, which is really good. I think we have a number of people that are very interested in working on this, and that have already made progress, which is good. So I'm hopeful that, and then of course also we have all of the grape twos that are out there chugging along. So we have the Grape 2s are already out there. We already have a bunch of Whisper Demon stations. We have a bunch of Grape 1s out there. So we do have a working network. So there's a lot of things that are going well, and we have some time on our side. So I think, I'm very hopeful about the situation in general.
Nathaniel, has the layoffs at NSF affected the people that we are dealing with for this grant? Do you know?
So far, no. Our NSF program officer is still working there, and she communicates with me regularly. In fact, I'm very happy to announce that I submitted yesterday the final report for the Daisy 1 grant. So the original Daisy 1 grant is now completely finished. I know Case actually finished theirs a couple years ago, but Alabama and Scranton, we hung on to ours. And I just submitted the final report yesterday, and it was completely accepted by the program officer. So that's really good. I can also share with the group now. I can share a little bit of information about that final report too, and I can share more information offline with anyone who would like to know about it. But let me show you this. One of the things that we have to do is a final outcomes report, which is really a very short report, but it's publicly posted on the NSF website. So let me bring up what I submitted for that. Here it is. Outcomes report. So we can submit a 200 to 800 word final outcomes report. So here it is, what we submitted. NSF grant collaborative research DZ track 1 personal space weather station design, prototype, produced and deployed a network of ham radio sciences investigation HamSci personal space weather stations. The HamSci PSWS is a suite of low-cost ground-based instrumentation capable of making measurements suitable for scientific study of the Earth's ionosphere and magnetosphere. The PSWS nodes are designed to be affordable such that volunteer citizen scientists can deploy and operate nodes with personal resources. Each node is modular and consists of combinations of the following instrumentation: a approximately 0.3 to 30 megahertz medium high frequency radio receiving instrument, a 3 to 30 kilohertz very low frequency receiver, GNSS receiver for precision timestamping and oscillator stabilization, and a 3-axis ground magnetometer. This project ultimately led to the development of 2 tracks of MFHF instruments, the Grape and Whisper Demon receivers. The Grape receivers are narrow band, purpose-built science receivers specifically designed to observe the HF Doppler shifts of constant carrier radio beacons. The Whisper Demon systems are wideband software-defined radios that are capable of observing the entire HF band simultaneously, decoding many types of digitally encoded radio signals. All personal space weather station nodes include a computer to manage signal processing, data collection, and uploading to public central data repositories. Software, hardware, and data from this project are publicly available through the hamsci.org website. All aspects of the HamSci personal space weather station development were conducted in a highly collaborative manner involving both the professional research / academic and amateur radio communities. This has allowed the final personal space weather station designed to benefit from the knowledge of these 2 highly skilled complementary communities to allow for broad adoption and organic growth of the distributed array of small instruments PSWS network, and to address the broader impacts of citizen involvement in science outreach and education. The project has trained multiple undergraduate and graduate students and generated dozens of continuously operating volunteer data collection sites. The HamSci PSWS network has been used to successfully make observations of the 14 October 2023 partial and 8 April 2024 total solar eclipses. The network continues to operate, recording not only day-to-day variations in the ionosphere and the magnetosphere, but also capturing data during significant geophysical events, such as the May 2024 Gannon storm.
Wow, that sums up a tremendous amount of effort and hours in a really nice, succinct document.
And then we're also that came out. I don't think it looks like this in the final. See, I can bring up the actual images I submitted. So we were allowed to submit 6 images as well. Let's try that again. To support the final outcome. So I created this slide deck, and I don't know why the Scranton logo looks like that here, but it doesn't look like that in the submitted actual image. So I created this slide deck, and then I converted it in each slide into a figure. So this was the title slide or title figure. And then we have one slide on the grape and Whisper Demon HF grape. The grape and Whisper Demon HF have grape in there twice. Oh boy. So happens to you. Anyway, couple typos in here.
Yeah, does the RX-888 is really not considered part of the grape system, is it?
We're calling it the Whisper Demon Dash Grape because
Okay.
because as opposed to just Whisper Demon, because a pure Whisper Demon system would only report to the Whisper Demon servers, but we have modified it so it creates grape-like data to support the grape project as well.
Got it.
And then I included one slide of data here. And then one slide for the BLF receiver. And then one slide for the magnetometer. And one slide for the central database. And so that's it.
Do you have an RX-888 system set up in Cleveland?
I don't know that we do, but we should.
Because I can offer to set one up.
We would be happy to have
Because
you
I got
set
the
one
antenna
up.
system already with a
Did you-
distribution amp.
And you said you have an extra RX888, right?
Yep.
Well, now it's not extra anymore.
Okay. We'll have to get the kit to modify because they're still brand new in the box.
Okay, yeah, I think it'd be really good to have you running one of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've got an extra one that I'll
Mhm.
give to the cause. I'll give to whatever you want to do with it.
Thank you. And I really do think that all of these systems are, very complementary to each other. The work that you did with the Grape 2, you put very careful. I know you put extreme care into getting the timing right and getting the pulse per second right. And that doesn't exist. I recognize that does not exist in the RX888 system the same way it does in your system. So I think both systems have something to offer. I think running them next to each other is really important. Along with that, I think it's really nice to note Kung has been, I'm not sure if he's on the call today. Kung, are you on the call today?
I don't see him anywhere.
Okay. Well, I think he's busy. So he's going to be giving his thesis defense on next Wednesday at 9 a.m. So Wednesday, May 6th at 9 a.m. he's doing his thesis defense.
Wow.
I know. I can't believe it already. So I think it will be available on Zoom if anyone's interested, and perhaps you, John, and Bill Blackwell might be most interested. I have not been coordinating that level of things, so perhaps if you'd like to attend, or I can encourage Kung to send you a Zoom link invite.
That'll
But-
be student either 5 or 6 for me that's gotten his degree off this project.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We had a defense yesterday for a master's that went well. So
that congratulations. Was that Maris's?
yep,
Yeah, and how did he do?
he got it. He nailed it.
That's wonderful. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. Yeah, I know I got an invitation to it. It's been just very, very hectic. Yeah, one of the things we had going on yesterday was at Scranton, we had something called the Celebration of Student Scholars, which is it's an internal research we call it an internal research conference for all of the students at the University of Scranton who do research, and it's primarily a poster session, but Kung did give a very nice oral presentation about the grape system yesterday, and so that was very well received. And this is perhaps one of my favorite slides. It shows on the left-hand side the GRAPE 2 observations in the spectrogram format, and it shows on the right-hand side the Whisper Demon GRAPE system. And you can just see what good agreement the two completely independent systems have with each other.
That's
And
important.
yes, so I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I think, again, we have just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous observations of the eclipse over here. And then we also have not only the eclipse, but I just love looking at these oscillations, what I think are these traveling atmospheric disturbances, going through the night here, which is really cool. And it's neat that you can see these. Which actually reminds me, David, didn't Claire just get her paper published?
Yes, she did.
Yes. So Claire Trope was a student at Dartmouth, and she's worked with Jim LaBelle and David McGaw, and she was studying traveling ionospheric disturbances using a similar technique, but in the AM band. And that paper was just posted, just published this week. Let's see if I can bring it up. Yeah, here it is. So you can see here that she has these observations of TIDs measured in AM. And so this is a really nice to finally see this actually published. You can see the receiver they were using. So basically we're able to do something very similar, but with HF instead of AM. And so, congratulations to everyone who worked so hard on that. And of course, especially to David McGaw, who's on the call today. So that's very, very exciting. And then also yesterday we had all of our students, we had a total of 10 ham-sci posters in the poster session yesterday. So I think it went very, very well. And it was nice to have everyone be able to present. Here's this is what the SAS antenna looks like now. So now you can see that the SAS antenna, here's the VLF receiver antennas out there, and then here's the SAS antenna up close to the house.
That's a lot of lawn to mow.
Yeah. My Rachel's father has made it one of his retirement hobbies, mowing
Oh,
our
you are
lawn.
so lucky.
I know.
Oh man.
He even bought himself his own ride-on lawnmower.
Oh, that's
His
cool.
liking. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
funny. I just saw somebody on his riding lawnmower yesterday thinking, this guy's having fun.
yeah, so he loves it. And Jonathan tells me that the lawnmower does not add to the VLF noise too much, which is good. Unlike when Rachel vacuums, Jonathan always knows when someone's vacuuming at our house. But yeah,
Well, you just can't vacuum anymore.
clearly.
Well, you need to put the capacitors that are required in it.
Yeah, so this is the house. So this little part of the house right here, that's where I'm sitting right now, and that's where all of the electronics are housed. So yeah, there's a lot
Anybody
going.
that did the FMT last week, I got blown out of the water by a TID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it knocked me off 1.5 hertz.
Well, that's clearly the most important reason for us to study TIDs, right?
Yep.
I should make sure I put that in as justification. We need to understand these better so that people can win the FMT.
Well, with enough effort, we could possibly come out with a way to correct for that in real time using our
That would be
observational
cool.
data.
Right. So, and I think that will make a lot of people quite happy.
I have a question about the RX-888. I have twice now had the RX-888 tie up the USB port on my Win 10 computer to where I had to restart the computer to break that. Has anybody else had any problems with the USB connection?
I have had problems in the past, but I suspect those problems. I had it connected to an old computer that had some power supply or starting issues, so I don't know that the problem was because of my RX 888. The problem may have been because of the computer I was using. So I have since bought three brand new computers for my new RX 888s, and I they've been running for a week and haven't caused any trouble. I know Rob Robinette has more experience than I do with this.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
you could start by just I perhaps you've already done that. Tried replugging the 888. Um,
Yes,
sometimes that will help, but it does the 888 can get into a mode where it is not recognized by at least in Linux, not recognized by the operating system. It sees it on the bus but doesn't recognize the IDs. So it becomes unrecognizable. You have to actually reboot Linux in order to regain access to the 888. One of the many reasons, why we'd like to have better control. It would be really of our own 888 design because
okay, thanks, Rob.
there are a number of frailties in the 888. In our interaction with it, and I don't think that. I think one of the advantages of our own design would be we'd have complete control over the hardware and software environments and might be able to better diagnose those problems.
I think that's one of the reasons that um, I am I'm less excited about trying to circumvent the tariff situation and get RX 888s that way, because I do see this as an opportunity to kind of reinvigorate this process of possibly creating our own design. And and maybe this is good for us in the long run. But as I said, that's I'm not ready to make I'm still biding my time a little bit. I'm not ready to make any hard and fast decisions until we see where things go over the next couple of months. I do think for the deployment to K3LR and to like Jenny Jump and a few other places, I think we want to, scrounge up our extra plates to support those to keep the development effort going. And I don't know, maybe Gary, well, we can talk about this, but maybe a thing to do is find out who has extra RX 888s sitting around, and maybe the thing to do is to try to, get those on the air somehow.
Yeah, corral all the cows and see what we can do.
Yeah,
Yeah, just I think that Gary or I don't know who has the 888, just John, maybe you were talking about installing it. Just be sure you're careful with the external clock input. I mean, make sure that the isolation boards are in there
Hmm.
because it is very easy to fry your 888
Ooh,
clock circuitry.
okay.
So it is basically an unprotected, yeah, the little external clock input on the printed circuit board of the 888 is pretty much an unprotected connection to the 5351 clock chip.
Ooh,
And um,
yeah, that'll
so
make it.
so
Ooh.
so in handling it, I'm very cautious about the ways I plug things together. I put in the external clock kit, the one that Tapper has that Paul designed, works fine. And but then I always connect up the RF and the connection and the external clock before I apply the connect the USB. I'm not sure that that's the right order even, but that's what I've been doing. And I've had I have about a good I don't know 10 888s that I've installed and have been running, and with care, I have lost none of them in the last. I lost a couple at the beginning, maybe from thermal. I'm afraid I may be the source of the worries about thermals blowing up the 888. I'm not sure that that's really the case, but in any case, I did blow up a few at the beginning. And but since I've had the thermal kit and Paul's kit, None of those that, to my knowledge, have actually blown up, been damaged. So, but I have one of Nathaniel's here, which is apparently non-functional, and if anyone has blown up a non-functional 888s, I do have a way to have someone, Clint K90EI has agreed to take a look at them. He has repaired some for me in the past. He can replace the 5351 chips. They're, a couple dollar part. He has a little store of them, and he's agreed to take a look at them. So I have Nathaniel's that I was going to send back to him, and and if there's any others, it would be good to give him all of the broken ones in a batch. So I think one of our contributors who's despaired of the 888, Mark KV4X, or so, I forget his call, has despaired of it and is sending. I think maybe sending mine. He has a different phenomenon. There's another failure mode where they periodically desensitize themselves, and again, this seems to be maybe associated with poor solder connections between the chip and the printed circuit board, and with thermal stress over time, the chips become intermittently connected to the printed circuit board. So I think I said this when we started this project with the 888 a couple of years ago, that we need our own design. This is not, if it weren't in a unique, capable product, we wouldn't be using it. But there's just nothing else out there. There's things that kind of come close. There's this new Phobos design, but it only works to 50 megasamples. So you only get 25 megahertz, and there's a tremendous value to running these things at 128 megahertz, 29 megasamples, so you can look at the spectrum above 30 megahertz, because a lot of the impairments that we see at sites come from, even with a low pass filter, 30 megahertz low pass filter in front of the 888 running at 64 megasamples. There's ingress mechanisms that bring the aliased noise even, and signals get aliased down into the band, into the 0 to 30 megahertz band. So it's it requires real care to work with it, and if you use it properly, it's really an incredible device. But you got to be really careful with them, and how you apply them. So my little diatribe on 888s. Since I think I brought them to the group, I have to kind of say it's not all my fault. I warned you from the beginning. That's but there's about 50 888 Whisper Demon 888 systems. Not all of them are, only a fraction of them are grape reporters. I think we have 20 plus grape reporters, 888s out there, Whisper Demon grapes, and the only ones that aren't reporting are ones that they've been working quite reliably, except when my Whisper Demon software breaks and I have to go into them. So they can work reliably if you're careful about how you install them. And if you need any help or have problems, please contact me.
I posted, I've got a 888 that I can, I'd like to sell to the project, not necessarily donate.
Okay.
I'll
Well,
look at my costs and find out what that was.
All right,
okay.
I'll start collecting all that information somehow or another. So we'll get it out. You'll see some postings. So thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, it's about 11:15. There's some great updates. I think we learned that it's not some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes to obtain this equipment and work through the grants and all that stuff is not to be taken lightly. I guess that's the takeaway tonight. But also, the thing is, sometimes due to adversity, we can make progress that otherwise wouldn't have happened. So we'll be positive on that. Okay, if that's it, we'll close out the PSWS Telecon for today. Hope we'll see some of you this afternoon on Zoom. We'll be talking about meteor scatter a little bit and plans for the Dayton Hamvention this afternoon. Because we got 2 weeks to finish planning. So,
Just
All right,
an
everyone.
interjection, Bill Engelby talked to me at the beginning of this call, and my audio system in my Mac was defective, so I kind of missed most of the first 15 minutes. So, Bill, if there's something I need to do, we should talk offline.
Okay, in short terms, we're gonna have to change the address of the server that everything is uploading to.
Okay.
And I'm pushing very hard to get IT to get the new server ready, and they're taking their time, but they tell me they want to take the old server down by June 17th, and that's going to be awfully tight. So I think probably what I'm going to wind up doing is creating accounts on the new server and setting them up so that uploading will work. But it may take me quite some time after that to get the whole web server running. But as long as we can continue to collect data, we should be able to survive. But it puts quite a bit of burden on you, Rob, and Michael Howen to maybe go through and touch each machine to change the uploading URL. But I'm going to ping the guys about that again here as soon as we're done with this call.
Yeah. Can you just if you just tell us what that URL is, I could put into Whisper-Demon a test for if the URL exists, then I'll in response, then I could upload to that URL. So if you know what the URL is, that would be.
We don't have that yet, but I'm trying to get that established also. I'm going to try and simplify the URL as you had suggested in another call. So
Okay.
maybe something like psws.ua.edu, something like that. Make it shorter. So
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay.
All right, everyone, thanks. Consider the net closed and return the frequency to regular amateur use. 73 all.
Thanks, 7-3.